Adam, Charlestown is one of those hot markets within the Boston market. Why are people moving to that neighborhood?
I think it covers a lot of the bases that people are looking for if they want to stay in the city but not necessarily be downtown or pay downtown pricing. Charlestown has one of the richest historical districts in all of Boston, and let alone the entire country. So it's always going to be kept nice, and always has been kept nice, from the Monument, the Freedom Trail, and all the other sites that people can visit. But I think as far as the housing itself goes, you get a little bit more of a suburban feel, more of a community feel than you do in downtown Boston, which is somewhat more disconnected from a neighborhood standpoint. You have great public transportation. If you work downtown, work at State Street, work in the Back Bay, you can take either bus line, which there's two of. You can take the Sullivan Square train, which is the T, the orange line. You take the Community College train, which is also the orange line. That takes you right through downtown, right to downtown Boston. If you work at Mass General, there's a shuttle. That type of transportation helps keep people in Charlestown, because there's a way to come and go from the city. Beyond that is kind of what's life like in Charlestown, and there's plenty of restaurants, plenty of places to go. There's a Whole Foods. And from a family standpoint, you have the biggest mothers group in Boston. You have the Warren Prescott School in Charlestown, which is one of the top elementary schools in Boston. And that's what's helping people stay once they're beyond that 1 or 2 bedroom condo and they have a kid, maybe 2 kids, and they want to try and stick around in the city before they make the jump to the suburbs.
For the longest time, people were just going straight to the suburbs, and a lot of people are sticking around these days. They're still going to the suburbs, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of people staying as well.
Yeah, there's more staying now than there ever has been, but we're starting to hear more whispers of people now considering the suburban markets, just because if they want that 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom with parking in a place like Charlestown, it's going to cost them, well over $1 million.
Sure.
So if they can go 10, 15 minutes north of the city or potentially south of the city, the west of the city is pretty expensive, so it's not the best transition for Charlestown people because it's somewhat disconnected as well. But beyond that, the pricing itself outside of the city is a little bit more enticing for people now, since they can't necessarily afford what they want in Charlestown.
What are you seeing in regards to the surrounding markets around Charlestown? Your Somervilles, even let's throw in East Boston. It's a hot topic these days. It's a strong market. Are those markets performing similarly?
Yeah, they are. I mean, East Boston itself is, to me, somewhat of an anomaly. I haven't ever seen an area turn over as quickly as East Boston has. There's some concerns there with a lot of that being kind of federally funded money and how much of it's actually sustainable within the community itself. But you've seen the success of South Boston, which, is now drawing a lot of what were former renters in Charlestown or first-time buyers are now being pulled to South Boston because of the restaurants, the bars, the nightlife, some of the stuff that Charlestown doesn't have in spades.
And that development over in the Seaport, I mean, it's right there next to South Boston. It's tough not to get drawn down there.
Yeah, it is. It is. That Seaport's like, we always say, it's like going to a different city. That wasn't there 10 years ago, and no one even had, in their wildest dreams, had the foresight to see it. And now we're seeing that in Somerville too, with Assembly Row and the development of areas like Union Square and Porter Square. It's becoming an area that's more of a draw than it was. But the issue with those areas, specifically East Boston, South Boston, Somerville, is the transportation, because you're somewhat landlocked on all 3 of them.
There's great options, and if you're coming to that part of the city, whether it be Charlestown, East Boston, Somerville, and would like to get some guidance, great person to connect with is Adam. You can check him out at adamgre.com. Thank you, Adam, for stopping by. And remember, this is Real Estate, powered by Hub.